Uh, Welcome back
Well, I'm back
to
with.
to another episode of Sacred
Silliness.
Silliness. Sacred Silliness. Today's episode is a continuation of our first yoga episode because we had so much more to share about a topic that we are so passionate about. So passionate about.
I was asked to explain yoga in a sentence by one of my students, and it reminded me of something my rabbi said when he was giving an anecdote about this man up to a rabbi, and he was like, "Tell me everything there is to know about Judaism in one sentence while I stand on one foot." And the man was like, "No," or the rabbi was like, "I can't do that. That is mad disrespectful." I don't remember like how the story goes, but it's something like
That
that.
is mad disrespectful.
Yo, Mishugana, that is mad disrespectful. Return to the synagogue when you get your shit together. Thank you very much. Shabbat shalom. And that's like, I didn't feel that way, like, oh, that's so disrespectful, but I was like, I wanted to give him an answer, but I was like, I started to talk a lot, and he was like, "Can you simplify it?" And I was like, really, honestly, no. The more that you come to these classes and you are curious and ask questions, the more you will figure it out. And it was my final response because I was talking about coming to stillness and getting closer to truth and what necessarily that truth is, or really not what it is because we don't really know, but what it's not, and like the external world and how there's a lot of noise. And anyway, I was going on, and he was like, so what I gather from like the last couple classes that I've taken and from what I've experienced is that endure comes to mind. I'm enduring in these poses, and yoga is about existing, and to me that's existing in the endurance. And then he was like, something like that. I don't know, am I close? And I was like, it's, your experience, that's the experience you're having. And so yeah, that's sure, it was
Yeah.
just interesting because I was like, I can teach about different ways to practice yoga, but when it comes to saying this is what it is, it's a little bit more difficult.
My gosh, that goes with everything. I mean, everything first off is just so complex, but also everything is changing constantly, and what yoga means to me one day means a completely different thing another day, and it's all about relative truth. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that one because yeah, it's just constantly changing. There's like that one Gandhi teaching that Ram Dass talked about one time. I really tried to find it. Um, like a written version of it at some point when I was discussing the yama of satya, I believe, truthfulness. And for those of you who don't know, yamas it's the first limb of yoga, and it's basically the internal disciplines. And so the second jewel of the yamas is satya, which is truthfulness. And so basically this teaching that Gandhi was saying was that he can only live his life based off of relative truth in that moment, trusting that that works towards the absolute truth, and relative truth is constantly changing, and you just have to come as close to truth as you can in each moment. Yeah, I feel like that was the gist of it. Oh, and he was also saying that so basically so many people's goal is to be really consistent with truth. But the goal is not consistency because truth is changing all the time. A lot of people will be like, I have to show up based off of this past truth so that everything is predictable and understandable and all these things. But things change. We all change. we learn, we grow, we gain new perspectives. And the amount of times in my life where like I will have one truth that is so deeply my fucking truth, and then the next day I'll learn something different and it'll completely contradict this past truth. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to believe because that first truth felt so truthful, but now it's completely different. And so you just gotta let it go and not define anything as one thing because
Yes.
yeah, that was the gist of the entire thing.
No, but I'm actually so happy you brought that up because I just had a moment exactly like that this morning, and we
Wow.
were doing breath work, and I think I expect sometimes when I go into a deeper practice and my mind gets a little bit more still, that like I'm going to finally have that one revelation that's going to make me so excited to keep living, or like just help me realize something that I haven't understood. And then I I really realized that those things are the simplest things that we already kind of know, but it's just when it becomes more obvious that you're like, I've been telling myself this for months, and now it hits, and now this is the truth, and now this is the new truth that I'm willing to accept, and in turn leave behind the other truth I was telling myself that I was battling with, which is why I kept having these repetitive thought patterns, because it was like it was contradictory to the truth I wanted to still hold on to. And this morning,
Wow.
that's what it was. It was just like I repeated the same thought pattern that has been repeating in my head for like 2 months now. And then I was like, oh, this is just what I need to do. And I can still do both of these things, but I must do this one first. And then I was like, okay, so I can let go of like what I thought I had to do and just do this, because this seems exactly like what I need to do. And I was like, okay, then that's what I'm going to do. And
That's
then, yeah, and
amazing.
that felt really good. So it was like new truth. Yeah.
Ever changing. What was the truth that you ran into? What is the thing that you have to do or
Well,
you get to do?
so yeah, every day I've been, obviously, I go to all of these different yoga studios and I trade my time for money. And to me, it's like, it's obviously really valuable because what I'm doing feels good to me and to other people. And that's great, but it's not sustainable for my energy. It's not sustainable to like live on um, monetarily. And obviously I am excited about making music and I'm learning how to play guitar and all these things, and that takes also a lot of energy, like savored energy and space and time to just simmer and work, and like and take some hours of the day where you have just time. And I don't have that, and even if I do, I'm exhausted because I'm doing this. So I'm like, okay, this isn't working. I can't keep doing both. I just can't. Like, yeah, I can like take a little time here and there to do music, whatever, but if I just have insert number here, a specific amount that I'm making that is from a more passive income, then I can give myself the time and space that I need to pursue my other passions and still teach yoga and all the things. And I came up with an idea. Well, I didn't necessarily come up with it on my own, but I kept seeing these things on Instagram. I got drawn to this seminar, and this guy was like, you need to make your own app, and then you can make a passive income. And I can still do what I love and teach and create videos and content for people. And I can still teach one or two at each studio and enjoy the communities. And then have so much more time to make music and live my life.
I
That's my
think
plan.
that's I think it's brilliant. I think that's actually brilliant and that's a great way to have a passive income. And I didn't necessarily like as soon as you said passive income I was like investment stocks. But that's like such a cool way to use your skills that you have, work on the skills that you have. I mean, dude, working on the app, like with these meditations and whatnot, making music would absolutely probably be a part of that. And it's kind of just like a combination of all the things you want to do. So it would definitely take a little bit of effort to like curate the vibe and the media and stuff, but that's brilliant.
Thanks.
That's brilliant. I'm excited to
Excited.
download this app and subscribe. I'll be your first subscriber.
Okay. Should we
Okay.
go back to the yamas and the niyamas since you brought that up and talk, and that'll allow us to go a little bit more in depth and like what is yoga, what is it besides just showing up on the mat, like what are all of these different ways one can practice?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so quick little history tradition lesson here. There's 4 paths to yoga, right? There is karma yoga, bhakti yoga. Correct me if I'm wrong on pronunciation. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Jnana, yeah.
Jnana.
I think so.
Jnana. And then Raha yoga?
Raja.
Raja.
It can be.
Raja yoga. That makes sense.
Raja.
Yes, okay, yeah. Under Raja yoga, there's the 8 limbs, and that's yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So yamas is, like I said, the internal disciplines. It has 5 jewels. I know some of the Sanskrit for some of them, and some of the other ones I don't know. But that's more of the internal disciplines and explorations and how you show up with yourself and how you show up with the world around you. And then the niyamas is more of the external disciplines.
Bhakti is yoga of devotion. Hatha is forceful yoga. Jnana is yoga of wisdom and knowledge. Karma, yoga of action. Raja yoga, or
So
royal
there's
yoga.
5. My book is wrong.
Well, this is the thing, is that these are all like, there's a lot of ancient texts and they are translated by a lot of different people, and for the most part it all comes down to the same thing, but some people kind of put things in different categories sometimes. But I was just gonna give a brief overview that Ha and Tha are moon and sun, so it's about drawing opposite forces together through the practice of many sun salutations. So lifting your heart, bowing forward, open heart, forward fold, back bend, forward fold. So that in itself is balancing. And then there's inversion practice, so headstand, tripod headstand, like being on the head and then being on the shoulders and shoulder stand. So going from activating, energizing postures to cooling and calming, parasympathetic activation, and then a lot of breath work that allows the energy to rise up. So this is all kind of in process, like awakening the Kundalini energy. And then Kundalini yoga is also another kind of yoga that is not the yoga it's not the yoga where you breathe and you do the things where you go and I've been to some Kundalini yoga classes because there's I think Guru Jagat or something is his name. He came, no, maybe that's the woman. Maybe that was that woman that Hulu documentary was about. But there was one Indian man who came to the West and he called something Kundalini, or people practiced under him. They called it Kundalini yoga. But what Kundalini yoga actually is just approaching self-realization through the awakening of the Kundalini force. So if you're going to read about Kundalini yoga, like in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, these are practices that one can't do until the Kundalini is awakened. So you'd have to be in a really high state of consciousness to even do these practices. They're impossible for any of us to do. So if you're going to go to LA and you're in a Kundalini yoga class, that's not actually what Kundalini yoga is. And the practices that they teach, yeah. That was, to me, I was okay.
Is a Kundalini awakening something that happens spontaneously or something that you initiate yourself?
Both. Because you can practice it through Hatha Yoga. And you can awaken that energy through the use of your breath and really intense practices that balance your energy and use opposing forces in your body. Also, orgasms are a mini brief Kundalini awakening. The energy is rising up from your spine. Um,
Wow.
personally, I actually spoke to my philosophy teacher in India about this because on that one New Year's, Evelyn, I feel like I told you where the energy was so insane. And I, at one point, just was dancing so wildly and then stopped out of nowhere and just like breathed in everyone's energy. And I literally felt like I had everyone's life force energy inside of my body. I was like, this has to be what that is because it felt orgasmic. And I talked to him about it and I was like, I think I've experienced a Kundalini awakening before. And he was like, it's very possible because, like, you know, certain psychedelics will induce that experience, but it obviously goes away. And because you didn't learn how to do it yourself, you don't know how to bring it back consciously. So, like, it happened to happen, but the practices that we're doing here are so that, it'll maybe take years or like your whole life to do that on your own accord with your own body, your own breath. But it's also very possible you experienced it spontaneously through substances because they change the chemicals in your brain and open up channels automatically and allow for that energy to rise up. So
That is so fantastic. It's like, it's certain experiences like that are so beyond this physical realm. This is so real. It is so real. And like, there are certain moments where I will be sitting in meditation and I won't move. I won't move. I won't change my breath. Nothing will happen. But I will feel such a shift in my energy. Gosh, it's so hard to describe because it's so beyond this, but it almost feels like my aura is coming deeper and more in my body, but also expanding outwards, and like I can just feel it flow. And I'm like, there's no scientific reasoning for this. Like it can't be like hormones, it can't be neurotransmitters. Like this has to be something so much deeper than that in this like quantum realm. I don't know, but that's so incredible that you got to experience that.
well, because it's what you
Many,
experience is the
many,
subtle body, and that's the whole purpose
yeah.
of practicing yoga, is going from the gross external senses, not gross as in gross, but like, really obvious and intense and loud, to like these really subtle feelings that are almost impossible sometimes to witness and feel unless you're in, that state of sitting. And then finally, maybe for a second, you're just like, oh my God, I feel the subtle body. And then you're like back into the mind and you're like, fuck. But it is
That's
so cool.
so cool. Wow, I love it. The Eight Limbs of Yoga
The eight limbs.
by Sage Patanjali.
Yeah, I
I
think
wish
I'm
I could meet
here.
him. That would be so cool.
It's funny
Fucking
because like
sick.
Patanjali just means I forget what it means. I just learned this in our last weekend. Patanjali just means the provider of knowledge or something. It's and there's like all these different concepts or guesses that historians have that Patanjali also goes by another name, which is just the giver of information, and they say that certain people worked with Patanjali, and
Oh my
and then
gosh.
yeah, but like Patanjali is a person, but with this name, they don't know who it is. It's just this name because they found the teachings, and then I could be saying things a little bit wrong because I just learned this. So I'm still like processing, but Garth like turned around and looked at us. He was like, "So what does that mean that this person studied with Patanjali?" We were like, "What? I don't know. What do you mean? Like, what are you asking?" And he was just like, "They studied with God, or they studied with the like. There was no
Yeah.
teacher. There was no teacher.
Yeah.
Patanjali just like learned these things on his or her own
Oh my
because they
gosh.
were so like drawn back from everything and just like went within to learn all of these things and write down all of these sutras. And so the person who studied with him just studied with the source.
Dude, that's exactly what they say about like how the Torah or the Bible were written was like it was God speaking through people. That makes complete sense to me. That's brilliant. I love that. I was thinking it was this like really, really brilliant, wise human being, which maybe it is, but like that also makes so much sense. Thank you for sharing that. Wow.
And it's crazy because talking about the Torah and the Bible as not as a kid, but I feel like once I reached high school, college, I was just like, oh, like once I learned what psychedelic mushrooms were, I was like, oh, well, they probably didn't know what was growing out of the ground, like what was what mushroom and what was not. And they were
Mm-hmm.
probably like, Jesus probably ate these mushrooms. And then that's when he started to like say all these things, whatever. And maybe that's possibly true. But then now learning about yoga and the process of yoga and all of these tools we have at our disposal to actually just reach that on our own. Like they had
Mm-hmm.
so much time and space. There was so much less noise. There was no
Yeah.
social media, no cell phone, no news, nothing. Like they were just present in their world. So maybe it didn't actually take these mushrooms. Maybe they were just they had so much time and space to practice and dive deep into their spirit and be curious about their own selves rather than everyone else around them that they were able to have these things flow through them because they just seriously could get to that point. Like, it's crazy.
It's so cool. And I don't necessarily know if this is the case, but if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I don't know how many times we're going to bring that up in this podcast because I know you and I both love that theory so much, but I'm going to bring it up again. Because if you think about it, the time periods of all of those things happening, that was after agriculture and farming started. Pretty sure, I think. I could be wrong, but I do think that was after that. So if you think about it, that's when they had a little bit more time to like sit down and rest a little bit and not go and hunt or run away from a tiger or a lion or go forage for their berries. I mean, they still probably had to do that sometimes, but they had a little bit, like just enough technology to where that was not necessary all the time. And I was thinking about this when I was in Greece, walking around all of these like ancient ruins. Like that was a great time in history, and why so much philosophy and art was like so incredible was because they had this society that was built, but they didn't have all of these crazy books or movies or insane technologies or distractions that were like taking that energy away from them. They had all of their needs met, but it was quiet enough. It was that like perfect Goldilocks level where you were able to really just tap the fuck in. And I can imagine that was similar for a lot of these enlightened beings.
God, I that's all I want in life actually is to be at that Goldilocks level of comfort. And I'm not talking mental comfort or emotional whatever. I don't,
Yeah,
because like
right.
that's whatever, like life
That's
challenges are
essential for
always
the
going to
enlightenment.
occur.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the challenges, yes, great, but to have the time and space to sit with that discomfort and to witness it and to really dive deep into it and then create art about it is that's all
Amen.
I want.
Amen. I think
Yeah.
you really just made such a good point because it's like that, it's like all of your needs are met. But that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is sunshine and rainbows and comfortable. And I think a lot of people in the modern world, not all of their needs are met because there's this like constant hustle and push and work and get that money and like the next bigger, better, stronger, faster, all of these things like this, that that need almost isn't met because they're not letting it be met. And so they're constantly in like fight or flight. And there is that like mental and emotional difficulty naturally because that's what it means to be alive, but there's also the aspect of like rushing and not being able to sit with it because you're trying to meet these needs, and some of that is valid. Like some people do need to work their tails off to survive. That's unfortunately the system. And there's no shame in that at all, but it's just unfortunate that that's just the case, that so many people aren't in an environment or in a lifestyle or in a situation that can cater to them actually being able to sit with that discomfort and
Mm-hmm.
existence. And like you and I both, like I think you and I are very much lucky and privileged in so many ways in that we do have moments where we are able to sit with that discomfort and reflect and integrate and all these things, but we can't sit and meditate all day and frolic in nature and all the things. Like we had a conversation about that. Like you have to go and you have to work and I have to go and I have to work and then rush to the next thing to make our dreams come true, and that's an honor and a privilege, but there's a lot of demands. There's a lot of demands from society.
Yep. And I feel like that's part of. Wow. I really loved everything you just said. Part of that is like karma, right? There are
Mm,
things that like we don't get to say. We have to work through them in our lifetime, and if we try and
right.
ignore it, it'll come back. And then there's I think in smaller things, and then the karma of our lives themselves, the fact that we do get the privilege for some time and some freedom, like we're not necessarily at the bottom where we're actually struggling to just survive and feed ourselves and meet our very very
Mm,
basic needs. And then so there's that whole level where it's like, okay, yeah, there is this need for literal survival, for flight or flight. Like, where is the next meal going to come from? Where am I going
right.
to sleep tonight? And then once you can get past that, then there's I think it's really at the end of the day, like especially with those societies, it's so obvious. Like we also don't need as much as we think we do, but we
Yeah.
are told that we need more. So like I don't know. So even when we get to a certain point where we can be like at least pretty comfortable, we're still like more, 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 more. And then even when people are like way beyond comfort, it's like, oh, well, I'm used to all these material things and it's very instant gratification. So I'm just going to keep chasing that and ignoring all of these other things that are actually like a huge problem and things that bring me deep sadness and emptiness, and see if I can just keep filling that void with more and more and more and keep working hard and feeling like I'm earning something by
Hmm.
working hard. But it's like you are bypassing your whole self for the sake of just like filling that void in the external world. And I feel like if I think I don't know. That's where I'm like, it would be incredible if first everyone all at once could realize, oh, I don't actually need that much. Boom. That's the first thing. And then it's like, okay, what
Dude,
do I
yeah.
need? What do I need? Let me just get that. And then where can I spend all the rest of this time and energy? Oh, wow. And then there's the realization like, there's a lot in here that I have no clue about and I never acknowledged and I have been fleeing from, or whatever, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. and and then I feel that's what yoga is. It's like people
Yeah.
come to yoga when they finally realize that like what they're doing in their daily life, either they need to stop or they need to also additionally take time to work on the external things that they need to do, and then go inward and have some time for themselves, and then
Mm.
have that balance of both, and then maybe eventually the self practice becomes more important than the external practice. I don't know, but
Yeah. I definitely think yoga can unlock that perspective in people. Like, I just know there's so many people that go to yoga because their girlfriends or their boyfriends brought them, or their friends were like, this will be fun. Or they're just like, heck, I'll just try yoga. Or I need some relaxation or a good workout. And they go and their lives are literally changed. Overnight sometimes, but also gradually. It gives us so many tools. And I know we talked about that in our last episode, but it really does provide an opportunity to go deeper within yourself. It's so fantastic. But I was also thinking as you were talking, like, yeah, it would be so great for everyone to realize that they don't need as much as they think they do, and to stop running away from like all of their internal things. And that would be amazing. Good God, that would be like the awakening. That would be like literally the Messiah coming, in the sense of like God coming into every single person on this earth, right? That would be a miracle. I would love to witness that. At the same time, like literally just this dieta, just uh like witnessing my own internal world of like my relationship with food, and not having these like really stimulating, tasty meals. It's difficult. It's really difficult for me. And I will sit there and I'll be like, okay, do I need this extra snack? Do I need to eat this banana right now? No, I don't. But it's crazy how strong that urge is in me to eat this banana that's sitting next to my desk, that I am waiting to eat as a snack. The way that I am finding so much gratification from eating a banana, it is like the most satisfying food out of my entire diet right now. But
yeah.
but like I'll just think like, okay, I practice yoga, I meditate, I do the reading, I make music and art, and I eat really well and all these things. I'm doing a lot of the practices, and I'm having a really hard time with something like this. How could we expect a world that is so lost in the sauce to have that much discipline? Like, if I'm struggling, which I'm not struggling that much, I'm fine. I'm literally fine. But the
But
fact that I'm
still,
struggling at all is like, it says something. Like, it's hard. It's so hard. Facing yourself, witnessing your truth, especially the ugly parts that you're like, ooh, that's not
I don't
sexy. That's
identify
not
with
cool.
that. What was that? Well, I don't know what that is. That was
What the heck even
demon.
was that?
What the heck even was that, guys?
Every time something like that comes in my head, I always think of you saying it. It's not even the vine saying it, it's just you.
I don't know what was that, guys. I'm so glad
Yeah.
I've replaced the vine in your head. That's so true, though. That's so true. And I feel like also thinking about that helps me practice the part of yoga that is being a witness and seeing things with more love, which also is really hard. Let me just say, I was actually just reading a Ram Dass quote today that was like, you want to see everything with love and you want to love everybody, but you're actually not doing that. So you first have to admit that and not be a hypocrite. It's okay that you want to do that, but you can't go around lying to yourself, being like, yes, I love everyone so much, because it's not true. And it's not. And it's obviously, of course, that is my intention. I would love that. I love to love, but it's not always how it actually works out because of the karma or just things in myself. Usually, I mean, that's where everything stems from, is things in myself. But okay, what I was trying to say. So okay, loving everybody, and yes, witnessing with love, like when I get frustrated, let's just keep it small. Like, how is this person in front of me so ignorant and rude and awful to themselves and to the people around them? Like, what the heck? And then I remember that, that I'm also having a hard time and I'm not perfect and I'm far from it and I even struggle to love everyone, which is what I claim to want to do, but it's hard and I don't even necessarily want that. Like maybe myself is like, no, no, like no, you can't do that. Protect yourself. You know what I mean? And all this stuff is happening under the surface. And so then remembering that actually does help me love a little bit more, because if I can love myself even though I don't love everybody, then I can maybe love one more person actually, really, truly, and be like, oh, I see myself in you. I'm also struggling and I mess up a lot. And your mess up isn't any better or worse than mine, but I'm judging it as worse. So now that I realize that, I can take a step back. And maybe I'm not loving them, but I'm witnessing more lovingly. I don't
I
know.
love. No, you do know. You know what's going on. That was beautiful. I think that's just brilliant because it really is just witnessing, and sometimes you have to go through that mental process of like having that judgment, then being like, oh shit, okay, I'm judging this person. Then it's like, okay, why am I judging this person? Oh, it's because I have an internal judgment of myself, and it's because I'm imperfect and I show up imperfectly, and I'm no better than this person. Like, you have to go through the whole process sometimes. And, like, what a beautiful process to go through. Like, love the process too. It's every step of the journey is so important and so valid and so lovely. And yeah, I adore the whole thing. I think this design of this experience of consciousness and enlightenment and just existence and life on this earth is so brilliant. Like, it is a masterpiece. And kind of touching on what you were saying earlier, like all of these moments of awakening are so simple. They're so simple and so obvious, and sometimes it takes us so long for it to like actually click and sink in. But then when it finally does, it's just like it's brilliant. It's just so brilliant. It's like it's genuinely, I think God is like the best artist ever. And I think that's why I also love and respect art so much, is because when you're in that creative mindset, you're just so in tune with that creative energy. And ugh, and like yoga. And just yoga. I also was so excited to talk about the 8 limbs of yoga because I think that is so brilliant. And one of my yoga instructors in Jacksonville, she does such a fantastic job of integrating the 8 limbs in her classes.
All 8?
And all 8. I don't know how she does yamas and niyamas. Typically, I'm in like that meditative trance. And, but I do notice she totally brings in asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, like the last 6. She totally brings in. It's so cool. I don't know how she does yamas and niyamas. I don't know if she does. That
I
might
need
be
to
like a
go
separate
back
thing.
to the list.
But I do love the
Oh,
yamas and niyamas. Oh my
okay.
gosh.
Ahimsa, Satya. Okay, wait, let's see. Here we go. I just flipped right to it. Would you look at that?
They're so
Oh
beautiful.
my gosh.
If you guys want a really, really easy, digestible version of that, of the yamas and niyamas, I recommend the book, The Yamas and Niyamas. Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice by Deborah Adele. It's fantastic. I had to read it for my yoga teacher training, and it really breaks down each of these jewels in such a digestible and entertaining but really profound way. And she gives you like activities and things to think about afterwards for you to integrate all of these into your life. It's fantastic.
Oh my
It's
god. You
really
should send me
fantastic.
some of those activities.
Oh, I will. I started a book club for it. I'll send you all of the questions too.
Yay! Oh my
Yeah, it's
gosh.
epic.
Okay, yeah, wow, here we are. Because honestly, I don't have them on the top of my head.
Well, the first one is nonviolence, and the second one is truthfulness. And I love the way that Deborah Adele talks about it because there's such a dance between the two. Because truthfulness can be a form of nonviolence. And a lot of people pleasers, myself included, will find ourselves not being completely truthful out of a fear of violence towards another person and hurting that other person with our truth. But
It's
that
harmful to yourself.
is actually harmful to myself and the other person in the long run. And then the truth comes and it's like, okay, I can't not live my truth anymore. And it causes more damage than if I just said the truth in the beginning. And it's so cool. But also there are some truths that are genuinely violent towards other people that you need to find a way to express your truth, but maybe keep it inside, or maybe find a way to express it with love, with the intention of nonviolence. And it's just a really, really beautiful dance. And my book club members did a beautiful job of pointing out that it's fascinating that the very first jewel of the yamas, which is like one of the very first teachings of the entire 8 limbs of yoga, is nonviolence, when you would think that that would be the end, right? Like that's the end goal, is nonviolence to yourself and to all beings on earth. But it's so important that it is the first jewel that everything else is built upon, but also that is the end goal. It's like a circle. It's just, and it is a circle. It's a wheel. Like if you look at so many things, it's all a circle.
The snake eating its tail.
Snake eating his tail, the wheel, the circle of life. Yeah.
I actually just, speaking of nonviolence, it's just interesting that, yeah, we're talking about this because it's also now, I think more than ever, really, really a valuable thing for people to think about. Because I think a lot of what's going on is people thinking that they are practicing nonviolence, and yet they are some of the most violent people on the planet right now.
Yeah.
And it's just being totally unaware of the fact that, like, if you're practicing support and radical, let's say radical love, for only a specific group of people, that is going to lead to radical violence toward everyone else.
Beautiful.
Every single time. And I don't care what you believe in. I don't care, what photos you saw of people who were hurt and affected poorly by other governments. Because if you're going to say only those people deserve safety and protection and a non-violent life, I'm just like, then you're really not seeing the whole picture, because we're all on this earth. Some people genuinely think they're doing the right thing. And now, before I wasn't talking about terrorists, but now I'm talking about terrorists, and it sounds almost the same. A lot of terrorists, genuinely in their hearts, they're like, this is the cause that I'm fighting for. I will die for it. And if you think about it in one way, like, that's beautiful, because they were raised one way and they have full faith and belief in however they were raised, that they believe that what they are doing is the right thing. And so if one is going to think that way about anything at all and be so laser focused on that one thing, and ignore everything else, all the other people, all the other circumstances, themselves too in the process, like losing themselves just for that one, like, cause, violence. Because it's ignoring yourself, your body, it's ignoring your peers, it's ignoring your community for the sake of literally what?
Yeah, it's ignoring the opportunity to expand and grow and learn because you're shutting yourself away from everything. You're othering everything. putting things into boxes. I think that was so beautifully said and so necessary to say. And oftentimes, I really do think about that one conversation that you had where someone was saying, like, the solution to a really, really, really bad issue was to just bomb everyone. And you just got to get rid of all of the bad, right? But then you were like, how is that possibly going to create more love in this world? You are reacting with violence. Like, that is just going to create more anger, more hurt, more reactions that are unconscious and create more violence. Like, you cannot solve violence, another person's violence, with more violence. That's not how it works. It's not going to solve anything. And it's so wild. This is so off topic. That's not actually not so off topic from yoga, but it is so wild how so many people will react to things that they deem as bad with more anger and hatred and all of these things, thinking that that is going to make it better. And it's weird because in some circumstances I can see how that could. Like, I just think of, like, the civil rights movement, and obviously these people had every right to be angry, and they fought for something that they believed in, and that turned out to be more freedom for people and less suffering. And that's beautiful. That's an incredible cultivation of that angry energy. Not every emotion is bad. If you're able to cultivate it with mindfulness, like, you can do really good things with it. But when you use that anger and hatred to cause more anger and hatred, that's when it's just a spiral and a cycle that you're perpetuating, and it's not contributing to the healing of this world at all.
Because you're right, anger can be such a beautiful and powerful energy that drives people with so much force, and it can drive you to do something positive, to make a positive change, or it can drive you to do exactly what you're angry about. And then there we go. Like, there's the split.
Yeah.
And that's where
it's just so complicated, though, because, like, if you look at a terrorist perspective, they will say this is a positive change. Mm-hmm, and so then that comes back to relative truth, and it's like, what the fuck is truth? Like, they think that, like, if you think about Hitler and stuff, his perspectives, he was thinking that getting rid of the Jews, getting rid of people with disabilities, all of these people were quote-unquote bad for this earth and were causing more destruction and all of these things. Like, they truly believed that that was bad. And so, but that was just more hatred.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, gosh, I don't even know. That's why you just have to love all beings everywhere, like you said.
Or at least try your best.
At least try your best. Period. At least have the intention to get there. And it's okay if you're not there yet.
The thing is at the end of the day, we don't all have to love each other. We don't all have to like each other, but we do all have to work together. And the best way that we can eventually do that, when we're going to have to, is learning to work with ourselves first. And then maybe we'll have a little bit more patience for the people around us who are quote unquote different from us, or appear differently, and appear maybe in a less palatable way than we would like. But it's all, we are all here. We are all here. This is all we have. And this is also the only life we get on the only planet that we are, right, at least in this moment, capable of inhabiting. So, what the heck?
What the heck? I think you just found the key as well, because I think a lot of people can't work with themselves, and learning how to work with yourself really shows you how to work with others, and acceptance of yourself and unconditional love for yourself really allows you to do that with other people too. And God, yoga is the perfect path for that. Yoga really, there's so many different paths, and yoga is not the path for everyone. I really, really, really deeply trust and believe in that. Like, it's not the ultimate path that everyone should
No.
do. I don't think it would work for everyone, but it is an incredible path. And there's like that one quote that says something like, yoga is the journey of the self, through the self, by the self. I don't know. But it really, really, really helps you come inward. And once you come inward, it completely manifests outward.
And it's just
And
like,
the 8 limbs help.
yeah. And what you said about yoga not being for everyone, like, yeah, everyone has their own path that's going to sit the best with them. Even in yoga, there are different practices that won't be helpful to some people versus other people. And I've seen really, really experienced yogis and really, really devoted Christians or Jews, and they're all at the core. I like witness them very similarly because they are just truly like they have done so much work and devoted themselves so much and surrendered so much of what they thought to be the truth and just let that go in the name of whatever it was that they really truly believed in their hearts. And because it was coming from a pure place of like love and just wanting to be the best possible person they could, it's all the same. Like, it doesn't matter how you get there.
Amen. It's all coming back to Patanjali.
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 Patanjali. My dear friend Patanjali. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Dude, that was my favorite line of the entire episode.
Florida girl goes to India and learns about Patanjali.
Patanjali! Ah, you're making me laugh. Patanjali. I'm gonna just talk about Patanjali in my yoga class. I will find a way to be as cool as my yoga instructor in Yoga Den.
You already
Her
are.
name is Allison. Well, yes, yes. But also to incorporate the 8 limbs of yoga in the class. Like,
I want to know.
bro,
I want to be at
the
that
way
one of
that
those
she...
classes so bad. Fuck, yeah, I really want to see where yoga birthed for you.
Yeah. I mean, technically the studio has changed multiple times, but she has been consistent, and
that's what's important.
it's such a good vibe. It's such a good vibe.
You actually, you are the one who's, like, you brought me to Rising Ohm, so, like, I don't know, you're literally, like, the, kind of the reason that, like, this became such a big part of my life. I know I've told you this before, but, so it'll be crazy to see, like, what brought it into your life. Yeah.
Dude, it was my mom. It was my freaking mom. Well, it was first my grandma, but it was also my mom. I feel like they did it at the same time. But yeah, I told my mom at some point, I was like, I kind of want to have you on my podcast at some point. She's like, I would be honored. Oh my gosh.
I can't wait to have your mom because I literally have only met her once, and I just don't even know what it's like to be in her presence, really.
Yeah, no, you haven't really had a good chance to, like, get to know her. And, yeah, you'll love her. She's grown so much. So much recently. It's so beautiful to witness. Like, this woman who was not spiritual at all, she didn't believe in soul, didn't believe in, like, reincarnation. I don't know if she believes in reincarnation now, but, like, she just genuinely was, like, so disconnected from spirit. And she is, like, so embodied and so connected with her soul and, like, talks about God now. And, yeah, it's really beautiful to witness. And it's cool to be able to connect with that with your mom.
Yeah, I guess it's also, like, pretty stereotypical, I think, of that generation to later on in life connect more with that aspect of self. Yeah, like, I don't know how common it is for us to be where we're at now, you know?
Oh my god. Like, what do you mean, like, us being
on
a path like this?
Let me, yeah. And let me relate this to yoga though, because this is like kind of why it makes sense that your mom is like coming into herself now at this age. Um, so there's the 3 stages of yoga. The first stage being for students who are young, whose bodies and minds are growing, and that's where yoga is practiced as an art form. So they're focused on asana, and they're going into difficult poses, and they're working their bodies, and they're challenging themselves, and they're doing a little bit of pranayama and like concentration, but really they're trying to build strong, healthy bodies, and they have a lot of like ability to use this energy in an outward way. And then the second stage is when you're in the middle part of your life, your body isn't growing anymore, but you're not really decaying yet. And you need to stay balanced and maintain health and vitality. And that's when your obligations and responsibilities might include job, family, community, and they're encouraged to practice a little less advanced asana and do more pranayama. So they're turning a little bit more inward, but they're still they still have all these outward responsibilities. So you're doing, some mudras, some asana, some pranayama, and you're just balancing your body, you're balancing your life and your body and your soul a bit. And then third stage is beginning with retirement, and when you start to slow down, your body starts to age, and you're preparing to make a peaceful transition and exit from the world. So you're practicing less strenuous asana, and really you're only using yoga asana as like therapeutic tool to heal parts of the body that might be unbalanced or like decaying, and trying to keep disease from growing and degenerative condition. And they're encouraged to maintain their health as long as possible, so they're practicing a lot more pranayama, meditation, bhakti and Vedic chanting, a lot more surrender, a lot more devotional practice, because they have this time and this energy that's savored from not being all active all the time to go inward and slow down. And then you also have less responsibility to your family now and to work and community.
That's so cool. Is that from the Yoga Sutras or from your teacher training? Where'd you get that?
It's from a text that I learned in my first training, and I'm relearning now in my second training. And I don't know what the original text is, but that's like how it's been practiced since the beginning of time, like in India.
Cool.
And,
it's like the stages of life, but through yoga.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I also think the story of Virabhadra is fascinating. And you sending me that story literally changed my experience of the warrior poses. All of them. Like, the story talks about warrior 1, 2, and 3, but you also incorporate peaceful warrior, humble warrior, all of those things. And it really, really changes the entire experience of holding those poses and witnessing, like, what that means to you in your life.
I have it.
Yes.
Because I don't remember it by heart. Okay, here it is. Ready? Story time. It's kind of long. This is from my yoga teacher, Raj. I don't know where he got it, but the story behind yoga's Virabhadrasana. The warrior poses are named after the fierce warrior Virabhadra, a mythological Hindu warrior and incarnation of the god Shiva. I hope you're sipping your tea right now, y'all, and enjoying the story time. Let's see. Okay. Said to have 1,000 arms and a body as dark as storm clouds. Find out the history behind these powerful poses. Have you ever wondered where the warrior yoga poses got their name from? Well, buckle up. This is the story behind the 3 warrior poses. Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3. It's a tragic story full of love, hate, anger, violence, sadness, and forgiveness. It begins with the marriage of Lord Shiva and Sati against the consent of Daksha, Sati's father. Daksha thought Shiva was an unorthodox hermit with matted hair, consuming intoxicants, singing and dancing whenever he passes. He was not a worthy husband for his daughter. You see, Daksha, the Prajapati, was one of the agents of creation, the upholder of civilization. He thrived on rules and regulations. After Sati had left her home to live with Shiva, Daksha organized a great party or yagna, where he invited all the members of the entire heavenly universe, except Shiva and Sati. Sati heard about this party and suggested to Shiva that they attend anyway. However, Shiva was reluctant. Why go? We were not invited. I do not wish to incite your father's anger any more than I have already. But Sati was hurt by her father's refusal to acknowledge her marriage, so she attended the party alone to confront her father why they had not been invited. When she arrived, her father asked her why she was there and insulted her husband, calling him a wild animal. All the guests who were present laughed. Sati defended her husband. He is one with nature and does not seek to control animals by bending them to his will. Society is artificial and exploits nature. The guests were entertained by this exchange between father and daughter, but Sati was so saddened and humiliated by this public argument. When her father continued to taunt her, she remained silent. She became so angry and trembled with disgust and indignation and resolved to relinquish all family ties. She vowed to her father, "Since you have given me this body, I no longer wish to be associated with it." She sat down and fell into a mystic trance. Going deep within herself, she began to increase her own inner fire through yogic exercises until her body burst into flames. When Shiva heard about the death of his beloved Sati, he became so shocked, saddened, and enraged that he tore his own hair out, and from his hair came the fiercest of warriors, Virabhadra. Vira means hero, and Bhadra means friend. Virabhadra had 1,000 arms, 3 fiery eyes, and a body as dark as storm clouds. He wore a garland of skulls and carried many terrifying weapons. Shiva commanded Virabhadra go to the yagna and behead Daksha and all his guests. So Virabhadra arrives at the party with a sword in both hands, thrusting his way up through the earth from deep underground. Warrior 1. He makes his presence known. I'm raising my arms above my head to those of you who can't see. He makes his presence known to the guests and stands with his sword poised, ready to strike. Warrior 2, arms out by your shoulders. And moving swiftly and precisely, he takes his sword and cuts off Daksha's head. Warrior 3. Later, Shiva arrives at the yagna and absorbs Virabhadra back into his own form. His anger dissolves and he is now filled with sorrow. His sorrow turns to compassion when he takes in the scene of destruction. Finding Daksha's headless body, he gives him the head of a goat and brings him back to life. Daksha is overwhelmed with Shiva's generous gesture and calls him Shankar, the kind and benevolent one. He bows to him in awe and humility, and all the other gods and goddesses follow his lead to honor Shiva Shankar. The story ends with Shiva walking away from the scene with the lifeless body of Sati in his arms. The warrior poses are not there to celebrate the destruction shown in this story, but rather symbolizes our own spiritual warrior fighting against our everyday battles, pride, ego, ignorance, false perceptions, and a distracted mind. Next time you are on the mat performing any of the warrior poses, think back on this story and embody the fierceness of Virabhadra to fight your own internal battles.
It's amazing. It's so amazing. And I promise you, like, if you integrate that story into your practices too, and notice, like, also off of the mat, how much it sometimes does feel like a battle. Sometimes it really does feel like a battle of, like, all of these thoughts are coming up, all of these repetitive, like, old habit, like, intrusive thoughts come up that don't resonate with me, but then that spiritual warrior within me is like, no, that's not how it is. And you know, all of these old thought patterns, they're so ingrained in our mind that sometimes it really does feel like a fight. Sometimes it really does feel like a fight to, like, say, no, I don't resonate with that. This is who I really am. This is what I resonate with. This is what I want to move towards. And sometimes we lose those battles. Sometimes we let those old thought patterns get the best of us and we don't show up in the best way. And we feel remorse, or like we've fallen back into old patterns. And that in itself is a step in the journey of growing and moving past them. I think that relapse, it doesn't even have to be used for like addiction and drugs. Relapse in all forms is sometimes a part of the process of growing out of old habits and things that we do. But that's a step in the journey, and also overcoming those battles and winning those battles. Like, it really is just a constant practice of overcoming the ego, overcoming the mind stuff, overcoming our attachments, our aversions, our poisons, all of the things. And that story just resonated with me so deeply. I thought it was incredible that yoga found a way to honor that battle and show, like, you're not always going to win, and that's okay.
That's what I always, when I have students who come in that I've never had before, and they're like in this pose and I'm holding them in for a while, and they'll literally like fall out of it and be like, humph, so upset with themselves. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, sometimes all I can do is just be like, maybe smile. No angry eagles. No angry eagles. And some of them are just like, eagles. Some of them are like, and some of them are like, I was mad at you for holding me in this pose, and now I realize that that's stupid. And then they have a moment, and I'm like, hell yeah.
That's so funny. No angry eagles.
No angry trees is usually what I say. Because people are like,
dang, people get angry in tree pose?
It's not that angry, but they're like, and they're like freaking out. And I'm like, I promise it's okay if you put your foot down. If you lose your balance, like, you can just get back up and do it again. Or not.
Yeah. Metaphor for life. Yeah, well, thank you for reading that. I don't know if I used this quote in the last episode that we recorded, but I kind of want to leave y'all with this in case I didn't. And it's a quote that really also changed my yoga practice for the better. And I don't remember what book it's from. I don't remember who said it, but whoever said it, whatever book it's from, credits to you. But the quote is, "The asana is what you are doing. Yoga is how you are being." And that was such a game changer for me. I mean, I was already starting to practice that, but just that quote really, really put things into perspective, because so many people will go into yoga and think that the movement, the flow, the asana, the pose, that's what yoga is. And in some senses it is, but yoga is so much more than that. It is how you are being. You can be typing on your computer and practicing yoga. You could be talking to someone you don't like, or talking to someone that you deeply, madly, and wholeheartedly adore, and be doing yoga. Like, it really is a state of being and a constant practice and a lifestyle. And I think if you go into your next practice on the mat and you repeat that to yourself, and you really try to stay present and be the pose, be the flow, be the moment, be the breath, you will feel how much more you are doing yoga than just like going through the motions.
Completely and utterly and wholeheartedly approve this message.
My name is Erin Yaffe, and I approve this message.
I have nothing to add. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Erin, do you have a song recommendation for this episode?
Sit Around the Fire by East Forest and Ram Dass.
And John Hopkins. Yes, there we go.
I've been playing it in Shavasana, man, and the people are like, "What was that song you played at the end?" Because I had a very powerful meditation, and I'd like to use that. And I'm like, "Here you go. It's on Spotify, madam or sir." And they're like, "No way!" And I'm like, "Yeah, way!" They're like, "Thank you."
And it's so good. That song has literally, I can't even begin to express to you how much it has brought me so much peace in my life, especially moments of like turmoil or stress or anxiety, where I will just completely be able to go behind this like thinking of good or bad, all these polarities. So I highly recommend y'all. There's just the deepest magic and wisdom in that song.
The deepest.
It's so good.
It's so magical.
Very. Well, thank you for the song, Rec.
Of course. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for being with me. I love you, Erin.
I love you, Evelyn. And I miss you, and I want to hug you, and I appreciate your words and your wisdom. And all of those things also mean I love you.
And all of those things also mean I love you. And I feel the exact same way.
Well, that concludes yoga part 2. I'm sure there will probably be a part 3 at some point when we feel like it, because there's always more to know. Look out for more parts in the future, but thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you, and I hope you have many little pockets of joy and presence and gratitude in your day and in your week and in your life. Namaste.
Namaste in bed. It's my favorite graphic t-shirt saying.
That's gonna be our merch.
Oh my gosh, wait. I saw actually a shirt that said, it was like, it had like a gecko or a lizard on it, and it said, oh my god, oh my gosh. It was so funny. And it was it Namaste? Was it a version of Namaste? No, it was something funnier than that. God, I can't, whatever. I don't remember, but I don't know. Be silly, do yoga. Yep, well, I said all that for nothing, so.
Made me laugh. You're good.
Great. That's all that matters.
You're good.
You're done.
You're done.
And we're done.
And we're done.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye now.